This is what we're making. A lentil shaped bead as a spinner ring. Pattern on one side, smooth on the other side. So you can wear it either way, pattern up or smooth side up. We're making a spinner ring with a lentil shape. So measure your ring shank as you would normally. Ring sizer, use the inside measuring from your calipers. Make sure you zero them before you start. Write the size down. Mine's 17.54 millimeters. That's an O. Measure the height of your ring shank, which is just that. And that is 1.75 in this case. Add those two together, multiply by 3.14, and that'll give you your length. So cut that with the saw and anneal the metal so we can shape it. Our shank is annealed. What I'm going to do is just find my ring size on the mandrel, go a couple of sizes smaller, push the shank around it, and what we want is for the ends to be even, but basically straight up and down. Now I'm going to hammer the bottom part around it with a rawhide hammer just to make sure it's round. And down to my size. And basically that's it. We're done with this for a while. Now you can see when I put that on my finger, I have a space sticking up where I'm going to put my lentil shaped bead. Just the right distance. Now we're going to punch two 15 millimeter diameter discs out of 0.5 thick sterling. If you don't have a disc cutter, you can just use a template, mark it out and saw it. We got our discs. We need to anneal them now. Now I'm going to leave one of these plain and I'm going to put a pattern on the other one. And you want to stamp the pattern in while it's flat, and I've just got this on a bench block, and we'll use our either a ball peen or a chasing hammer to hit our steel punch. And I'm going to keep this fairly simple and just put a series of dots in a spiral coming into the middle, and just a plain old pointed punch. Because this is annealed, it won't take much. So work your way in, do your pattern, whatever you're going to do. It's nice with this spinner ring to have a pattern on one side and plain on the other, so that you can turn it around and have basically two different rings. Now we're going to drop our discs down into a dapping block. Make sure it fits in the block. Make sure your punch is smaller than that depression. You can hear it when it hits the bottom, and that should be the depth, all of the depth we need. We shouldn't need any more of a dome than that, because we want it lentil shaped. We don't want it a perfect circle. Now we're going to make sure that our hemispheres are flat, and I'm just going to use 400 grade sandpaper on my bench. When they're flat, you should see a nice dull line all the way around. Do both of them. Now on one of your hemispheres, take a triangular file, little jeweler's file, and you're going to file a notch, 2 notches actually, right across from each other, about 1 millimeter deep, just on the one side. And now we can solder this together. I've rolled a piece of hard solder wire through the rolling mill to make it flat, and we're going to cut pieces about 8 mil long. Probably need 4 or 5 of these. Now we're going to place the one hemisphere on our charcoal block, flux it, and position these bits of solder on it. Flux your disc. I usually just stabilize it with my solder pick because it makes it easier. And then pick up your solder with your brush and place it. And then we'll gently, so go all the way around, and then we'll gently heat it up with our torch, just passing it on and off. Let this cool. You don't want to burn your fingers when you're putting the other hemisphere on. Once it's cool, flux the other side, and then place it on top. Now, I noticed that my flux had dried out, and I needed to add some water. If you add water, add distilled water. Most tap water has a little bit of iron in it, and it makes it a really ugly solder joint. So always distilled water to add to your flux. I've positioned my other half of my bead on top. If you have this level, you shouldn't have to tie this together to solder it. So I'm going to use the same neutral flame on a Smith's mini torch, number 7 tip, and I'm just circling. I'll back out. So I'm just circling above and below, and I'm just staying at one point on the join, and as the solder starts to flow, I'll just shift my torch around so that the solder flows on around. So there it's flowing, and I can see that side, and I can see that side, and that's it. Done deal. You can quench this or just let it cool. It's up to you. Where we filed the little marks in the one is an opening so that the liquid can come in and out, so it's not a completely closed sphere. Now, after we have it cool, what we're going to do is drill a 1.2 millimeter hole through each of those spaces, and we'll start with a 1 millimeter drill bit, and then we'll go back with a 1.2. While we're waiting for this to cool, we can drill our ring shank. So set your calipers at 2 millimeter, drag them down the inside of the shank so that we have a mark to drill to. Now we're going to twist the shank like that so that we can just drill straight down through. Yep. So mark where you're going to drill with the punch, and we want it right in the center of the ring shank on that 2 millimeter mark. Now drill through. So this is a 1 millimeter bit. Drill all the way through, both sides.